evening, everybody, and welcome into the first episode of what I hope to be a long-running series here on the channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the Baltimore Birdland Live, where we dig into everything Baltimore Orioles. And you know what? I couldn't think of anybody better to do this show with than my good friend Walt from Mouse Talk. He is a Baltimorean by heart. He's an Oriole aficionado. He's got opinion on everything. He'll tell you you're wrong, he's right, and let you know why and give you the details and stats. And I couldn't think of any better person to come in and go one-on-one with me about what we're thinking. So let's get in and dig in. Walter, welcome in, sir. Great to see you.
Hey, you too, Pete. This is going to be a blast, man. I'm really excited. We're both huge baseball Oriole fans and baseball fans in general. We need a show like this. We really, really do, to talk about our birds, good or bad. So this is going to be a blast.
Well, I'm excited. Let me get the comments down here. So we got just a quick hello to Home Candy and Jeannie. Andrew, good to see you. Lamario, hello. Gowdy, hello. Fred O'Malley, welcome in. Victor, welcome in. Let's get right to it. Walt, we got some news that has started out this week, and that's kind of where we should start first. Let's talk about this. Jordan Westburg got Player of the Week down at Norfolk.
No surprise. I mean, he's just really, really, really tearing it up right now when it comes to his numbers in the minor leagues. I mean, I think he's got 17 home runs. He's got 52 RBIs, batting 300. He's got an OPS of like 978, 54 runs scored, and that's all in only 230 at bats.
Yeah,
I mean, he is really tearing it up down there. Just really fantastic right now, and he's another one.
It's been a big week. I mean, we look at it: 400 on base percentage, 640 slugging percentage. You see 1040 OPS on the screen there. Also scored 11 runs and hitting 3 doubles and 2 home runs along with 4 RBIs. We've talked the Orioles could use that type of bump maybe in their lineup real soon. So I'd be interested to see if he could give a push. Second quick news topic I want to hit before we dig into the topics tonight. Welcome to Norfolk. We've been talking about him coming soon, and here he is right up there at Norfolk, not far away from Birdland.
I think a lot of people forget about this guy. Heston Kjerstad was the number 2 overall pick a couple of years back. He didn't play for an entire season due to, I think it's called myocarditis or something like that, which kept him out of the game. But this is a highly touted prospect who I think a lot of people forget about. And keep an eye on him. Keep an eye out on him. He's coming soon.
I'm excited about it. It's just another level closer. Again, a lot of young talent pushing their way here, which is a good thing from my vantage point of what we're doing. Next topic I want to touch on. This just hit the news wires just a few minutes ago. Player of the Week, Gunnar Henderson.
Wow, talk about turning on the switch. What an incredibly last 30 games, just week he's had, obviously, for Gunnar Henderson. He's just crushing the ball right now. That home run he hit yesterday at Oriole Park, longest in the history of Utah Street home runs, 462 feet.
Moonshot.
This is what I think we've been waiting for, so it's well-deserved for him.
Moonshot. I was excited about it. And, I guess it's pretty good considering I remember not that long ago a text saying, I think he needs to go down. Well, he's worked through it, and that's good. And we'll still see what the long-term success rate and how quick it comes to him. But it is nice to see with a lot of bashing that's going on Gunnar all over social media over the time that he gets a chance to prove it here. So let's jump into topic number 1, Walt. And topic number 1 on the board for tonight is Kyle Stowers. Is he the next DJ Stewart? DJ Stewart, I believe, was drafted number 5, if I remember correctly, when he came in. And now I think he's pumping gas in New Jersey.
Well, he's actually still in baseball. I think he's in the Arizona AAA. He was a first rounder. He was the 25th overall pick back in, I think it was 2015 draft. I was looking at the numbers between him and Kyle Stowers and their similarities. Looking at AAA numbers for Stowers, he's 261 average, 57 home runs, 204 RBIs in his career. DJ Stewart had a 255 batting average, 83 home runs, 316 RBIs in his minor league career. But they both have struggled offensively at the major league level. And, now don't get me wrong, DJ Stewart's had more at-bats in the major league, so he's had more of a chance to prove himself. Stowers worries me because of the depth that the Orioles have in their outfield. Not only with the players they have there now, but with the players that are coming.
Coming behind,
That
yeah.
also, speaking of Heston Kjerstad, a Colton Cowser, those type of guys who can play the outfield, plus the three that are already there in Santander, Hayes, Mullins. You've got Ryan McKenna, who's a very good utility man. Stowers has not taken advantage of his time in Baltimore. And when he plays, I think his major league numbers right now, you're looking at a 207 batting average with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs and 121 at bats.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done when you're as deep as they are. So, could he be the next DJ Stewart? I don't know if he's going to be the next DJ Stewart. And what we mean by that, folks, is just basically the Orioles are going to give up on him because that's what they did with Stewart. I think it's too early to do that, but he's in trouble. There's a lot of depth in the outfield, and if he wants to stay with this team and not be part of a trade, he's going to have to start stepping it up.
Well, he's
My
also
opinion.
some big key spots. Welcome in Monarch Miracles. He's had some big key spots in games where he could have driven in a key run, a key insurance run, and the at-bats were not solid. I've seen pop-ups. I've seen weak strikeouts where he has almost been overmatched or overwhelmed. I think a lot of it is pressure because as he's come through the system, he's performed. But as he's got up here, I think he's stressing at the fact that my opportunities are limited. I can't mess up. So
Right. Yeah, I agree, and it's an unfortunate thing for him. Is I do think he's ultimately going to be a DJ Stewart. I don't think he's going to be a mainstay with the Orioles. I think there will be a point where they either DFA him at some point, or they will include him in a trade, maybe even this year at the trade deadline. I don't think his future will be with the Orioles. I just don't.
Welcome into Melissa. You do provide something useful, Melissa. We're not going to allow you to just say that. And welcome in to Melissa. Let's look over here at topic number 2 as we looked at Stewart's, and that goes over to pitching as we talk about today. Do the Orioles need to add another top line starter to this lineup for a playoff run? Walt, give me your opinion first.
Well, when you look at it on the surface, you might say no. The Orioles have a team ERA of 4.14, which is ninth in the American League, which is to the lower half, but 4.14 as a team ERA, you would think, oh, that's not terrible. The issue that they have is they're getting their best ERAs from their bullpen. That's who's really carrying the load. When you've got guys, I'll give you some numbers real fast.
Okay.
Tyler Wells is averaging 6.25 innings with a 3.24 ERA. Dean Kramer, 5.28 innings with a 4.89 ERA. These are starters. Kyle Gibson's averaging 5.9 innings, 5.92 innings with a 3.9 ERA. Kyle Bradish is only averaging 4.81 innings per start with a 4.25. Cole Irvin, 4.55 innings with a 7.5 ERA. And, of course, Grayson, 4.5 innings with a 7.35 ERA. They're not giving them any length with their starters. They're putting all the pressure on the bullpen. It's a heavy load for them, and that's going to wear them down at the end of the year. So do they need another starter?
Yes.
Yes, they do. I think they do. Who gets bumped? That's going to be the big issue. We thought it might be John Means. We might talk about him a little bit later. Do I think they need to go out and get another starter? Maybe. So I think they probably do. What do you think?
I was disappointed that we didn't do that in the offseason. I thought we should have went. I don't mean that we should have thrown money at DeGrom like Texas did or something stupid like that. But I think we should have looked for somebody who could have been that veteran presence to take and have, 18 to 20 quality starts that we could get out of him, whether we win or lost, but could be a leader, take some of the pressure off of these younger guys and let them kind of mold into whatever situation they did. And we chose not to do that. We chose to stay status quo. And that was my one thing that I was disappointed about with the Orioles in the offseason. I wish they would have done.
I think Kyle Gibson has given him a little bit of that. I mean, could his innings be a little bit more? He's averaging almost 6 innings a start. He's got a 3.9 ERA. He's got like 8 wins. I think he's given him that. The problem is we're seeing some regression out of Bradish. We're seeing some regression out of Kramer. They're not quite giving us what we were hoping. And Grayson, to start, God bless him, I think he's going to be fine ultimately. Did not work out well with his starts. I think that's part of the issue. I think the signings they did, I mean, I'm glad they didn't sign DeGrom. Look what happened to him. Look what happened to Carlos Rodon. Neither one of them have really even pitched this year, and they've made big money.
They're getting paid.
I do get what you're saying, though.
Yeah. Welcome into KDN, Lila Rose. Thank you for joining tonight. You know, the other thing with that aspect of the challenges that I wonder as I've watched the regression in some of the pitchers that you've talked about is the amount of innings and amount of time that they're putting in now, which is more than what they're used to getting on a consistent basis. Are their arms getting a little bit soft here as they come up to building toward? We're coming toward this All-Star break. It's the most that they've had to put in. So I wondered about that. And then one that wasn't even on topic, but I'll bring it up now is my God, Perez has been, CNL has not been CNL of last year. He's not been
No,
lights out. So that's another
not at all.
play factor. And the one lefty that you had, see, it's kind of a flip role, Walt. I looked at the lefty out of the bullpen to beat Perez, and it turned out now it's been Aiken. He was phenomenal yesterday. So
Yes, he's had his ups and downs as well. He didn't start well, talking about Keegan Aiken, but you're right. Lately, he's been really a huge asset to the Orioles because you're right. Cino Perez has been hit on and hit a lot this year. He's
yeah,
nowhere near what he was last year, and part of that, from what I've seen with him, is getting behind in the count. His fastball command is not there right now.
he's
He's
trying.
not commanding his pitches as well as he did
Yeah,
last year.
location's been horrible when he's tried to challenge some people up. The movement hasn't been there. If you don't have movement in the major leagues, I don't care who you are, you can be throwing 98. If you have no movement and you're throwing 98 and you pitch up a little bit, you're going to get hurt. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, unless you have the command to be able to, you need unless you can paint the corners. I mean,
yep.
you have to be able to do that. And there are some guys that have, they don't have a ton of movement, but they have such great command that they can get away with it because they can paint the corners and make it difficult on the hitters. And you're right. If you can't do that,
Yeah,
you're gonna get hit. Agreed.
you got to be able to dot an I with that 100%.
Ag-
So
Agreed.
I'll put you on the spot before we change topics. Do the Orioles trade for a pitcher before the trade deadline at the All-Star break?
I think they do.
Mm,
How big is it? A Corbin Burns type? I don't know. But I think that they probably do. I still think it's going to be a second tier guy. I still don't think it's going to be an all in, we're jumping in the deep end. I just don't. I
okay.
don't see them depleting the farm system that much because to get a Corbin Burns, three or four of the guys we know are going to
Would
have to
have to
be included.
would have to go.
And do we
Yep.
want to do that? I don't know. We'll see.
That's true. All right, Mateo, let's talk about him. He started out absolutely on fire. I mean, he's been talked about as a
April was amazing.
five tool player, talked about coming out of the New York system. He come to us. He started out on fire. Everybody thought he was the second coming of, whatever shortstop is your favorite. That was a power hitter driving things out. He's calmed down now. Is he the starting shortstop if the Orioles make the playoffs? Well, what do you think? Where's he at?
I don't think he's going to be the starter for much longer, to be
Mm,
honest with
wow.
you. I really think that he is playing his way out of the lineup. We were talking about Jordan Westberg earlier. That guy is knocking on the door and saying, guess what? I can play shortstop, which he can. And I think that Jorge Mateo is playing his way to the bench
Mm,
or packaged in a deal. I know that sounds funny, but you look at his numbers last year. He batted 221. He had a 267 on base percentage, 267 on base percentage,
right.
646 OPS with 13 home runs, 50 RBIs, 35 stolen bases. This year, he's batting 227, a
Lower.
267 on base percentage again,
Okay.
637 OPS,
Oof.
6 home runs, 25 RBIs, 18 stolen bases, and he's already struck out 47 times this year.
That's the amazing part is where he's not making contact. And when he's
Yeah,
not making contact, he's missing bad.
right. That's the thing. And his defense? His defense is stellar. But if I can get even close to the same defense
Mm-hmm.
and get much better offensive numbers, I make the change because I his defense is great. Don't get me wrong. I'll give him that. But if I can go out and get someone who's going to give me offensive numbers that are much better, who's going to hit 40 to 50 points higher, I'm going to I think we need. I don't know. I think
I
he's
agree.
very close to being taken away from this job. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I'm concerned that we're not going to pull the trigger. I like the fact that we've got Westberg and people like that pushing the number. I'm concerned are we going to pull that trigger or are they just going to ride it out saying, hey, okay, we're still on the uptake. We're not there yet. We'll keep Mateo, see what we can do with it. Let those guys simmer one more year down there, get more experience. I would rather see them do that. Mateo, if he's going to be shortstop in the league, his fielding percentage has got to be stellar. Okay, in my opinion, which he has been for the most part. I got to give him credit there. He's got to steal a ton of bases, but in order to do that, you got to get on base. And when you
Right.
got,
You can't stay first.
no, you can't. You can't steal first. And he's swinging at pitches. It's not just that he's overmatched. His pitch selection is horrible. Swinging
Yes.
at balls. He will get tempted at a pitch that's down low and away on the opposite batter's box in the left-hander's box. If you throw anything with the spin rate, he will buy it, and that's a
Right.
problem. And they know it,
Yeah.
and they're throwing it left and right. That's a challenge.
Right. And that's where he lacks for me, because what he's not doing, he's not adjusting back. They've adjusted to him. He's not adjusting back. I don't know if he needs to look at more tape, if he needs to get more time in the batting cages and take more batting practice, or what it is. But you're right. When he's just really struggling right now. He is not putting good at bats together at all. His April was great. He was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But his May, for as good as his April was, his May was that bad. He hit like 45 in May.
Well, look at the welcome into Gianna. Thank you for joining, and Laura, thank you. Look at the pitch choices by the opposition. Well, in April, he was getting a ton of fastballs. Okay, they were trying to beat him with the heat, and all of a sudden, somebody did some research somewhere and realized, he's having trouble reading the spin on a ball. And now, right. I mean, he's now being pitched opposite. If you're new to the game, opposite means most pitchers lead off with a fastball or some sort of heat that they start out with in the first part of the game. He's now getting like the 6 through 9 innings where he's getting reverse pitched right out the get-go. So it's kind of crazy on that. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see. If Westbrook keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to push some numbers because the Orioles need offense.
Well, that's the thing is, and not to harp on this, what kind of decision do you give? What's the explanation that you give to Jordan Westbrook when he comes knocking to the door and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And they say, "Well, Mateo's batting 220, you're batting 350 or 320, and you're lighting it up, but we're going to keep with him."
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a continuity thing. Maybe they just don't want to mess with the continuity and the complexion of the team itself. But Jordan Westbrook's got a lot of really good friends on that team, guys that he's come up through the system with. Yeah. They know him, whether it be Rutschman, whether it be McKenna, whether it be Gunnar, whether it be this guy or that guy. They know him. So we'll see.
It's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out all the way. I'm excited about it to see where we go, because if it's somebody that's coming that's pushing and it's making it better, well, I'm all about that. So Baltimore Orioles, let's talk about this, Walt. Who's the next big prospect for the Orioles to get the call? And do they stay is the question. It's not just getting the call. Rodriguez got the call and didn't work out. He couldn't control his location. He was trying to beat guys with a straight fastball that was not spinning, and he was getting burnt. And there was one ball, I think, that was hitting my backyard from the stadium. So I don't know. Who's the next guy to come up?
I think that this is a really good question, because there's several names that could be really thrown out here, and I would not have a problem with it from whoever threw it out. Joey Ortiz has already been up a little bit. He's gotten a cup of coffee and played really well while he was here.
Yep.
I really think that Colton Cowser, who everybody seems to forget about, is just on fire. He's batting .336 in AAA right now with 8 home runs, 31 RBIs. His OPS is over 1,000. It's like 1,048.
They got to give him.
But I think it's Westberg. I really do. I think Jordan Westberg is going to be the guy. He was the minor league player of the year last year. It wasn't even Gunnar Henderson. It was him, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can check me on that. There's nothing else left for him to prove it at the minor league level. Jordan Westberg's got to get the call. That's my opinion. I think it's Westberg.
Okay, I like it. I'd have to agree with you right now with all that. I still would like to see Cowser get an op, at least a chance. You have injuries that happen along the way. You're not giving Stowers a chance right now. You got roster spots you can make. Give a guy a chance to come up and flow a little bit and see if something happens.
I actually agree with you. I really thought that when Mullins went down, I would have bet money that Cowser was going to get the call. Instead, they went out and signed Aaron Hicks. And don't get me wrong, Aaron Hicks, he's playing just fine.
He's still
and
okay.
You get him for and you get him for league minimum. The Yankees have to pay his salary. But I really thought Cowser was going to get the call. And if they weren't playing as well as they were, if they weren't leading the American League in the wild card race, Cowser may have gotten the call. But I think right now they're like, we need veteran leadership. And I think that's the only reason why he didn't get the call. So it could have been your guy.
It could have been. Welcome into Nick, and welcome into Chris, Curtis family. Thank you guys for joining tonight. Jump in the chat anytime you want and talk with us a little bit tonight. Let's go to the next topic here. It's time to get Mountie. Is Mountcastle the long-term answer at first base? You and I have gone back and forth about Mountcastle discussions over the last 2 years. You know, do you like the way I'm tying in the Topps baseball card collection as we go along here?
Well, I love it, man. I think they're great. They're great.
Talk to me about Mountie and tell me where you think, and I'll be ready to counterpoint if we're different this time.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. At first, I was really on the bandwagon with Mountcastle. I was like, he's going to get there. He's going to be fine, this, that, and the other. This is his third full major league season. And I've looked at his numbers, and they have progressed in the wrong direction over the last 3 years. In 2021, he broke the Orioles record for rookie home runs in the season by hitting 33 home runs in a year. He beat Cal's record or Eddie's record. And we thought, oh, my God, here we go. Good guy. But then he went from 33 to 22. This year he's only got 11. He's batting .227. And Pete, people have those streaks where you're in slumps, but you can still have good at-bats.
Mm-hmm.
His at-bats are not good. He is really swinging at bad pitches. You were talking about Mateo swinging at low and away stuff. This guy is pull happy right now. Everything's got to be jerked, and he is just looking overmatched. He reminds me of the tail end of the career of Chris Davis. Not fully, everybody, not fully, but he worries me because he's really struggling right now. I mean, he's got a 686 OPS. He's got 64 strikeouts already, and he's only got 12 walks.
Now, I will give him this. He did go over and fix the problem where he couldn't hit the outside slider. He's finally gotten to where he's keeping his head on the ball, dropping the head of the bat, and willing to go the other way. So they've stopped pitching him there. So now they're starting to pitch him back inside. You're right. He's getting pull happy. The problem with the pull happy that I found with him, though, is if a pitcher works the outside paint, even if it's a little off the outside paint, he will swing at a pitch that is not just right off the paint. He'll swing a pitch 8 inches off the paint.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's guessing or what it is, if he's not seeing the ball well. I mean, his last 30 games, I wrote the numbers down. His last 30 games, 195 average, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, and 35 strikeouts in 113 at-bats.
Mm.
Pete, he's got 39 RBIs on the season. He got 9 in one game.
Yeah, well, and you can't do that from that spot in the lineup. That's a production spot where he's hitting 3, 4, 5. Those are production spots.
Yeah, and that's what worries me about him is, he had a streak there where he went 15 or 17 games without an RBI. You can't do that. Not if you're a middle of the lineup guy. Even if you're not hitting, you've got to drive in runs somehow.
Yeah.
And 17 games without one RBI from your middle of the lineup guy?
No, you can't have that.
That worries me. That's all. That's, again, just my opinion.
Take him and Mateo, and you cut down these contact rate challenges, and all of a sudden, how different is the offense? Because these are opportunities. Welcome into Jeff Condon and Mr. Fulton.
Hey, Jeff.
Joining tonight. All right, let's drop over there. We've talked about Ryan a little bit. The man of the week right now is Mr. Henderson, and the future is bright. The initial conversation about this was, do they send him down if he continues to struggle when we wrote this show? And now, all of a sudden, he's on fire. So, which Gunnar Henderson is our Gunnar Henderson for this year? Yes, the future is bright with him. But are we seeing Gunnar what we're going to get for the rest of the year now? Or is this a hot spot and pitchers are going to learn to change the pitching approach to him and we're going to go back to where he's struggling again?
Well, I think it's somewhere in between. He's not going to hit, we'll go over the numbers here in a minute. This was a serious question a week ago. 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. 2 weeks ago, this was a serious question. But it's the one thing I'll bring up. His last 7 games, he's hitting .458 with 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. In just his last 7 games.
Right.
His defense is great. It's getting better. His base running decisions are iffy from time to time, but that's a maturity factor. He'll get better. He's 21 years old, folks. He's the youngest player in the American League. He's that young, but he is really on fire right now. And I think what will ultimately is somewhere in between these numbers is what we're going to get from Gunnar Henderson. He's a 5-tool player. He's special. And he's a second round pick, 51st overall by the Orioles. The guy's just fantastic. The difference is, Pete, for me, we talked about earlier about Ryan Mountcastle.
Okay.
Even when Gunnar was struggling, he still had 45 to 50 walks. He still had good at bats. And that's the difference. That's why he didn't get sent down earlier. He was still hitting the ball hard at times, had good at bats. Even though he was batting 190, he had like a 345 on base percentage. So he was still getting on base. So you knew this was coming. I just think he's a special player.
Okay.
But if he was still struggling, this would be a serious question that would
Does
have
he
to be
take too
asked.
many pitches for you, Walt? Because he does for me, I think. And when I say too many is, I'll see him take the first pitch. Okay, you're taking the first, you're looking, it's close. But the second pitch will be right there in the wheel zone. And
Yeah.
we're doing it. I feel like he's battling a lot out of 0-2 and trying to hit from a deficit, from a hole, than hitting even or up.
Agreed. The thing I'll say about him for me is I don't mind taking pitches. What I don't like is taking borderline pitches. There's a lot of times he's called out on strikes. If you're going to go out on strikes, go out swinging. Not on bad pitches, but I'm talking about there's a lot of pitches that are close, and I'm thinking, Gunner, you got to pull the trigger. If nothing else, fight the pitch off and save the at bat for another pitch. Don't get called out on strikes, not on borderline pitches.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. We're basically in the same place. He's taking pitches he shouldn't be taking, but I think that's changed a little bit lately.
And I don't think he has the talent that Adley has for breaking a pitch off. And you and I both know what that means. For somebody that doesn't know, that's brand new, when a batter is up there and they've got an 0-2 count, they're just trying to waste another pitch. There's multiple ways that you can approach the at bat to try to waste that pitch to get one. It does two things. One, it gets you another shot at a better hittable pitch for you, because every batter is different for what their hittable is. But two, it also runs a pitch count for the opposite pitcher. If you're facing Garrett Cole, you want to have as many pitches out of him as you can to get to that bullpen. So
correct. Yeah. No, I don't think he's. But again, Adley's 25. This kid's 21. I think that the smarts come as he matures and he sees more at bats and he sees pitchers more often.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot of slack for me. His age means a lot. I mean, he's 21 means a lot. He's younger than my youngest son, who's 22. That means something. And, he's still a kid who's learning at the highest level on a contending team, playing every day. I think he's doing just fine. And now, he's raised his batting average like 40 points in the last 3 weeks. It's just, I think he's somewhere in between ultimately, but man, we'll take the ride while we got it.
Absolutely. Welcome into Hatbox Ghost. Hey, Jerry. Yeah, the player's playing real well. All right, let's jump up to the next topic tonight here, and that is Jackson Holliday. I love this graphic that we were able to put together. Jackson has been moving up the system relatively quick in comparison to other players, and his talent says, does he have a legitimate shot of breaking camp in 2024? That's the question. Does he have a legitimate shot of breaking camp in 2024? Walt, your thoughts?
I think he does.
Really?
I do. The only thing that keeps him from breaking camp is the depth of the Orioles. If they find somewhere to put Jordan Westburg next year, and they have somewhere to put Joey Ortiz, because see, you've got Joey Ortiz, Jordan Westburg, Gunnar Henderson, and Jackson Holliday. All four are middle infielder, shortstop type people. Now Gunnar's over at third. I guess Westburg could go to the second. And then you have to decide about Joey Ortiz. Jackson Holliday. Here's my opinion on Jackson Holliday. First off, he's the number 1 overall pick in all of baseball in 2022 by the Orioles. Okay? His makeup is incredible. He is a pedigree. His father is a borderline, I wouldn't say borderline, but his father's great numbers in baseball over his career in Matt Holliday. The kid's been around baseball, in locker rooms, around ball players. He's seen those pressure moments his entire life. This isn't new to him. His numbers, Pete, his numbers at Delmarva, 396.
Crazy.
2 home runs, 16 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 1.182 OPS, 15 runs scored in 14 games, folks. He went to High Aberdeen, and they said he's going to struggle. Okay, 324, 5 home runs, 23 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, 1,006 OPS there with 35 runs scored in 38 games.
Yeah.
He's going to be at Double A before the end of this year. If he smokes Double A, he could go right to the majors next year. He could be Gunnar Henderson. He's 19. He could be Gunnar Henderson next year.
So here's
Gunnar
the
Henderson last year was 20 when he hit the Orioles.
So here's a question I have for you. Well, first off, I got news for you. I'm going to see Jackson Holiday, I think next week or the week after. Preston and I already talked about it. We're going up to Aberdeen and watch a game, which I can't wait because he wants to try to get his autograph while he's young, which smart move. Get it now, and you never know. Wish I'd have done
Right.
it with, Hall of Famers that I met when I was younger. But here's my question. Is who of those four you mentioned, which one of those four could you put at first base? Which one of those four do you say, hey, we've got an incredible plethora, but we want all four of you in the lineup. We want all four of you in the infield because defensively your gloves are fantastic. Who do you put at first base?
I think I put Jordan Westberg over there if I have to out of all of them. Gunner's arm is too important on the left side of the infield. He's just got a cannon for an arm. His also because of his range. Same thing with Joey Ortiz. The range on them two is just incredible. You just can't. I would put Westberg at first. I would put Jackson Holiday at short. I'd put Joey Ortiz at second. And I'd leave Gunner at third.
That's
if I
kind
had
of
to choose.
what I thought too.
Yeah, if I had to. I think Jackson Holiday, if he continues to do what he's doing, the only reason why there's a couple different things. They could keep him down because they don't want the service time, but I don't see the Orioles being like that anymore. They're very much pro player right now. But it's just the level of the amount of people that are ahead of him. He's got to wait his turn. But if they can find room for him and he's lighting it up, I won't be surprised if he makes the team. I'll put
Talent
it
should
to you that way.
dictate. Talent, it's just the way talent should dictate. And if that's the
I
case,
agree.
we've got, that if you think about that infield, that's a pretty special defensive infield for what you could have talent wise with range, arm, glove, what you do and production. I mean, if you're looking at the what they've done if they carry that same type of tracking to the main.
And I agree, Pete. And guess what else too with Jackson Holiday? Right now, he's still got a kid's body. Wait till he starts getting into the weight room and he gets a man's body and develops into himself and keeps growing the way he's going to grow. Same thing with Gunner. Look at Gunner just 2 years ago in the minor leagues and look where he is now. Look how thick he is. He is a big kid.
Yeah.
I say kid. That's a man now, and he can. You're going to see more home runs like that. 6 shots from him.
That thing was an absolute rocket. We were listening to it in the car. Bill Dowdy. Hello, Bill. Good to see you, buddy. We were in the car listening to the game, and I heard the shot. I heard it. First off, I heard the swing, heard the crack of the bat, and then I heard the announcer's call was so quick because of the way it went down. And the first thing I did was turn in the car to Preston and said, "Go find it." And he went online, and people were posting it within minutes. And I got to see it. I was just
the sound off the bat was different.
Yeah, it was pretty smooth. So I was very, very ecstatic about that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Talent does dictate, but depth dictates too. Because if the Orioles didn't have the depth they have, guys like Jordan Westberg and Colton Cowser and those guys, they'd already be up here. But not only do they have the talent, but they have the depth, and that's what's dictating why those guys right now have to wait. Because the depth up here is so deep right now, which is a great problem to have. We didn't have it for the longest time. Yeah. That's part of the problem here. But I agree. I mean, first and foremost, talent should dictate.
I agree fully on that. I agree fully. All right. Next topic is one everybody wants to talk about. Number 47 in your Orioles lineup, John Means. Are we even going to see him this year? Is he done? Is this Tommy John surgery worse than people are thinking? What are we thinking here, Walt?
Okay, personal opinion, I think that if we see him, we don't see him till September. I think they were saying July. Now they've kind of set him back a little bit. He had a little bit of a setback. They won't rush him. There's no need for them to rush him. If he comes in, it's going to be in September. It'll be a nice boost when he does show up. But I think it's if at all, it's September for him. But I seriously doubt the Orioles are going to rush him. if they don't get him this year, I don't think they're that upset with it. I think they'd rather him be fully healthy.
Okay, interesting. Let's see. Shirt Bum John, welcome him. Talking about hoping to get to see him if he's still in A-ball when he comes up. You never know. I mean, I think he's going to move up quicker than they think as we do that. So, you know what? I wondered when this whole thing went down with Means if he was hurt worse than they were letting on. I kind of felt like the injury with the time and the discussion and the way they were doing it was a little bit, and it's kind of dictating that now as he's trying to work through getting back. And then the other question is, I mean, not every player has the same reaction to Tommy John. Some people have it; they come right back stronger than they were. I've seen players come back throwing harder and throwing
Yeah.
with more spin rate than they had. And I've seen other players come back and they can't just find it again. So I don't know where he's going to be. If he is anywhere near what he was and he's a September call up to help us and bolster that roster as you start talking playoffs, hey, amen. I'm excited about it. So it'll kind of be a wait and see here with John Means. So interesting. Good topic. I like it.
Well,
All
what
right.
do you think? Do you think he comes back this year?
In all honesty, I don't think we'll see him. I think he's going to have more setbacks. I don't. I don't think he's. I think it's worse than we're saying. I think it's going to be a full year of trying to work him back at it. And I think where you'll see him first time will be in spring training of next year. You know,
Okay.
we'll see.
Pete, I think you're. I have no problem with that. I think you got a really good point there.
All right, D.L. Hall. D.L. Hall, the guy that shaved his head now, getting himself cleaned up a little bit. When he was up here, he had hair going everywhere. Will D.L. Hall get called up? And if he does, Walt, will that be in a starting position? Welcome in, Jason Udo. Thanks for joining, buddy. D.L. Hall, talk to me
What's up,
about
Justin?
it's time to play Monty Hall with, I don't know, deal your Hall. But anyway, what do you got?
This is the toughest one for me out of all the questions we have because he struggled as a starter with the Orioles. He just fastball command was not there. He just did not. He just was behind in counts. They were hitting him, but as a reliever, he actually excelled as a reliever. But that's not what the Orioles want him for. They
Right.
want him as a starter. They have been really adamant about that. He has to command his pitches better. When you have a 1.43 WHIP, that's bad, folks. You don't want that. And he has an ERA of 4.46 in AAA right now. I don't know if he's going to get a call up for a while until he can really start putting up he's got to put up better numbers. Other than that, he's going to be down for the rest of this year. So I don't know if I don't think he'll be a starter for the Orioles this year at all.
Will he be a starter for the Orioles ever? It's a question. I mean, there are some guys that you can bring them out of college or out of high school and say, okay, I see this guy as this spot, and then you get him up there. And look at Chapman for the Yankees. The old Yankee pitcher was a great one. Came up and the Reds tried to push him as a starter. And where did he find his success? In the bullpen at the end.
Yeah.
Things. So
yeah, I think the Orioles have been very adamant that they want him to start. I think he ultimately does. I think might be in next year's rotation if he can learn to pitch a little bit better. I think I'd rather see him as a starter. We need left-handers.
We do.
We have a plethora of righties. We need a good lefty, other than John Means. Cole Irvin is the short term. He's not going to be here long term.
He's not the player.
No, he's not. He's a stopgap. So for me, I would prefer him to be a starter. But I think if you're the Orioles, I think it's next year. I don't think that he'll get the call this year.
Okay, I don't think he's going to get called up at all personally this time. He's struggled this far. I think they're going to put him down there. They're going to leave him in that starting position, trying to build up arm strength, trying to build up the mental capacity, because it is a difference in pitching from a starting position, from a reliever, from a closer. Everything,
Sure.
Every one of them takes a different mentality, a different preparation, a different daily rep. So I think they're going to leave him down there. I don't see him coming up. I hope it works out because, God, he came out with such potential.
Yeah, and I still think he will. And I think Justin makes a good point. Could he be a September call-up? I think he could. But again, it depends on what his development is. If I'm the Orioles and I say I need to develop him as a starter, if he gets a September call-up, then are we going to have him as a spot starter, or is he just going to come out of the bullpen for long relief? I guess there's a few different ways they could go with that. We'll see.
Okay. I'm curious to see how they go with it, too. So, DL Hall, everybody. Hold on. Let me throw up Sanudo's comment right there because it's a good one there. Sanudo says sometimes pitchers just need confidence. They have the skills, but it's a mental game too. It is a major mental game. I mean, baseball is set for people to fail. You can fail 7 out of 10 times, and
And you're awesome.
you're a Hall
Yeah.
of Famer potential. You have
Yeah.
a potential to do it. Same thing goes, with a pitcher. If you look, you could have a pitcher that throws, 25 to 27 games and wins, only a half to 2/3, and he's looked at as stellar. So you have to wait and see how that whole thing works out. So I don't know.
I think Justin makes a good point. A lot of time, I mean, that's one of the main reasons Grayson Rodriguez was sent back down, is they wanted him to get his confidence back, work on commanding his pitches better, and I'm sure he'll be back up here. And I think that's a good point.
I do.
So
I agree with it fully. I think that's a really good point. All
yeah.
right, let's go over and talk here. Can the Orioles make the playoffs? I mean, this is a topic that's been thrown around every type of talk show, every type of Oriole show. If you go downtown on the stoop, people are talking about it down all over Baltimore. And I don't know Walt. Where do you think they are?
Well, I predicted 86 and 76 for the season and just missing the playoffs. I said they'd be 10 games over 500. Uh, I'm going to stick with that only because I really think, the division is such a beast. And you've got teams playing better that I didn't expect to be playing better when it comes to teams like Texas and all who are making a run as well.
Yeah,
I'm still going to stay with the 86 and 76 and not make it. I think that ultimately there's too many inconsistencies with our team right now. I love my Orioles and I want them to make the playoffs, and I hope I'm wrong. Um, their record right now says they're going to make the playoffs. They have the second best record in baseball. I think they're one game behind Texas for the second best record. I'm sorry, I take that back.
what
But I
is
mean, their record says that yes, they can make the playoffs.
their number two,
What I don't like,
number one wild card
yeah,
right now? Like Justin was
yeah,
saying.
exactly. So but the inconsistencies on both offense and in the pitching and the brutal division that they're in really worry me. Um, and can they keep up a 600 winning pace? 619, I think it is, or something like that. That's a lot, man. That's a lot to ask for such a young team. Um, so can they make the playoffs? Yes, they can. Will they make the playoffs? I don't know.
You know,
What about you, Pete? What do you think?
I definitely think right now, based on them staying the way they are, they make the playoffs. Now, I say the way they are. To me, it always comes down to pitching. Welcome in, O'Connell, by the way. It always comes down to pitching for me. Can our starters handle that long run? It's more than they've done. They're still building, they're saying, yeah, they've done it at minor leagues and everything, but it's a totally different ball game when you're talking major league, the travel schedule, everything that
Agree.
goes into it, the press schedule. They have more press to deal with than they ever do. It's
And the hitters are just that much better.
just that much better. Yes,
Yes.
you're not facing Aaron Judge down in AAA ball.
No, exactly. No, you're not.
There's a lot to play.
Exactly.
So to me, it really comes down to our pitching, and it comes down to our starting pitching. Because if our starting pitching does not perform like you were talking innings earlier, and you have to start dipping into your bullpen more consistently in the mid fours, and you're starting to stretch them out, well, all of a sudden, those guys that are coming out sharp, like Aiken did the other day against the Royals, they're not coming out that strong. They're coming out a few miles an hour less, a little bit more tired. All of a sudden, location starts to slip a little bit. Spin rate starts to slip a little bit. Major league players make you hurt. And, that could be the difference, between how far you go and if you're in or not. So the other thing, too, is that we haven't talked about and that I think plays into this whole playoff discussion here is injuries. We had the Mullins injury. That's kind of the one that kind of jumps out. Yeah, we had Hendo's with the back a little bit. Wasn't major, but if any big injuries come up for this team, God forbid, Adley
I
Rush.
think so. Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I think Cedric's a big injury, though. I think he's a catalyst for this team. I think his injury hurts. I mean, it hurts a lot. I mean, I think I don't know. I worry. I said next year was our year, and I'm still going to stick to that. I really think next year they have a legitimate shot at making a run for the title. I really do. I'm putting it out there right now. I think they can make the moves they need to make next year. But I agree with you, Pete. I mean, the pitching has got to be more consistent. The starters have got to give us more innings. Have got to give the bullpen more of a break. We can't be throwing those guys out there all the time. If they don't, I think we fade. But that's just, I still think 10 over 500, which is a great season.
Yeah.
But yeah, just my opinion.
Sanudo says Santander has been overachieving. Can he keep it up? You know, here's the thing. I don't know. I'll start with this and I'll throw it over to Walt for his opinion. Santander had a monster World Baseball Classic and started out on fire. Came to the Orioles at the start of the season and was soft. He was not hot. He was struggling, and then all of a sudden, recently, he's picked it up. He is a streak hitter. Since he's been with the Orioles, I've said that about him. Can he keep it up? Oh, I don't know. He's going to have people hit behind him so that he can keep getting pitching to keep it up. Walt, your thoughts?
Well, I get where Justin's going with this because ultimately, I said last year when he hit 33 home runs and led the team, I said they should have traded him last year at his peak. I think his worth last year was probably at its highest, and I think they could have got a good return for him. Not a great return, but a nice return.
Right.
You know, for a Rule 5 draft to come in here and do what he done. And the Orioles always have a very good track record with Rule 5 guys. You know, just look at Tyler Wells. He's another one. He's another Rule 5 guy. He's done fantastic for the Orioles. I think Santander is I don't think he's a 33, 35 home run guy every single season. So, yeah, I think he overachieves in that respect. But he's a 20 to 25 guy, and he's a switch hitter. Plays really good defense this year. He's really surprised me with his defense.
Made some nice
and
plays.
they love him on the team. What he brings to that team's chemistry can't be forgotten. They love him.
That's a
so,
yeah.
you know.
I agree. The Orioles are notorious and this wasn't on the topic thing, but since we're here, I'm going to bring it up before we get to our next topic here as we're coming to the top of the hour, is the Orioles are notorious for not trading guys when they should to get the maximum out. And I'll just bring up one name and simple. Brady Anderson. The year he hit 50, he should have been gone out of Baltimore on the first flight. He could get out, and we could have got a ton of prospects. Instead, we wrote it out and got nothing. Or you got the other way around, the Eddie Murray for Juan Bell trade for the shortstop that never turned out. So the Orioles are not, to me, I think you got to go all the way back to the Frank Robinson deal for the last time the Orioles got a really good trade deal out of it. So
Eric Bedard for Adam Jones and Pete Harnish, and who was the other pitcher? Adam Jones had a heck of a career with the Orioles. He really did. He was a good ball player for us. So I think that Eric Bedard trade was a good trade. It's not Frank Robinson trade, but it was a good trade.
I'll give you that. Okay, let's jump to Adam Frazier, who I loved it when the Orioles signed this kid. I thought it was going to bring some veteran leadership. I think if he found the right location for him and his play and got a fresh start, because it didn't go well in Seattle, that it would be good. Worth blocking prospects. We talked about him, Ortiz and others. Is it worth blocking prospects at this time to have Adam Frazier at second base? I say yes, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Walt, what do you say?
This is a hard one too, because I can see both sides. It's yes because he brings the veteran presence, and if he's hitting well, there you go. He's producing. I say he's not, only because he's had a few really clutch hits for the Orioles. Don't get me wrong. He's played some nice defense at second base. My issue is he's got 7 home runs this year, which is more than he hit all of last year already. Okay. He's batting .232, and he's got a .694 OPS.
Yeah.
That worries me. I don't mind him, but if I'm the Orioles, again, I got Jordan Westburg, who's just lights out, and Joey Ortiz, who's playing really good at the minor league level. I'm thinking on this one. I really, really am. But I like him on the team, and I didn't have a problem when they signed him, and I think he's justified what they paid him this year. But I don't like that he's blocking some really good prospects.
Okay. I think that for the first half of this year, he's the right player right there. I think that, you can look toward the end of the year to maybe look at these prospects, keep Frazier around as a guy in the locker room for pinch hit roles, for, filling all the way through. But I think for the start of the year, he was the right guy. And I'm glad he's done a good job.
He has.
Very pleased with him. Maybe that's also something that you look at down the road of, okay, well, maybe we're going to make the playoffs this year. I don't know how far we'll go. Maybe a team needs a player like that in the National League for the thing, and that could be a trade thing where you end up bringing one of the rookies up later and giving him and getting some more for him. I don't know.
It's one of those things that's going to make the trade deadline really hard for the Orioles because if they're for some reason, again, the trade deadline's not that far off now, folks. We're talking about a month and a half out. But if the Orioles fade, I think Adam Frazier is a trade. I think he's a trade candidate for sure. If he's playing semi well, I think the Orioles would trade him away. But if they're in the running when the trade deadline comes around, I think they probably hold on to him and say we need the veteran, unless he's just stinking it up.
Yeah.
But if he's not, if he's being productive and doing pretty good, the Orioles are going to say we're keeping him. He's veteran leadership. He'll be productive. He'll give us big hits when we need it. He'll be sound. He'll be sound fielding wise, and they won't risk it on a rookie in big spots.
Okay,
so we'll see.
Christopher Summers says the other pitcher is Chris Tillman.
Thank you, Chris. Tillman. Tillman was good for a while, but Tillman and Adam Jones for Eric Bedard was a good trade. Thank you, Chris. You're right. Absolutely.
I'll agree with that as well. And welcome into Christopher Slammer. Also welcome into T. Marie's Place. And thank you, Tina, for dropping Mouse Talk's link. If you're having a good time enjoying this action, we're going to be doing a lot. Make sure you're following Mouse Talk on a regular basis on his channel to keep up everything in the world of mouse. And you can follow me over here with Walt together on the baseball front. We're having fun. How many Reds became Orioles after the trade deadline? I don't know. Not many. I don't know.
How many Reds?
Let me tell you. Let's talk. Hold on. I got to step out of
Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson became Eric Davis. Eric Davis is another one. He was a Red.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Welcome in, Dave. I'm going to step out of the Orioles for 1 second. Walt, I am blown away by this rookie for the Reds, De La Cruz. This kid, I've just watched a couple games, how fast he is, his hands at the plate, how quick they are. I tell you what, I'm jealous of what the Reds got in that kid because I'm talking full 5-star talent, what he could be. And I'm curious to see how that'll be when it goes out. That's a topic for another day. When we one of these days, as on Oriole Talk, as we're doing the Baltimore Bird Bath, one of the topics will be other players and other teams we want to highlight or jump in.
Yeah.
But
first
we'll
highlight Major League stuff.
Yeah, first show we wanted to get into all Oriole stuff. All right, last topic of the night, guys, as we pull it together here. Adley Rutschman, guys, he's come in with the House of Fire, not only with his play, but his veteran leadership from a rookie player. And I say rookie because it's early in his career as far as major league tenure goes. Is Adley the next face of the Baltimore Orioles franchise, Walt?
I think he is. I think he already is. In the mid 2000s, we had Adam Jones or maybe a Nick Markakis was probably the face of the Orioles, but I don't think they were the face that this guy's going to be. He reminds me of Cal Ripken.
Yeah.
That's who he is to me. He's Cal Ripken behind the plate. He's a good guy, good player, going to put up really good numbers. He's probably going to put up Hall of Fame numbers. He's going to be the heart and soul of the team. He's going to be an awesome player who everybody loves, and the town's just going to fall in love with him. He's just fantastic. Is it too much pressure to compare him to Cal? I don't think so. Different positions.
Yeah.
Cal Ripken was a shortstop. This guy's a catcher. I don't expect him to put up shortstop numbers. Just put up catcher numbers. And then he's going to put up really good catcher numbers that are going to probably land him, hopefully, with some great numbers at the end of his career. I don't want to say Hall of Fame yet because I'm not putting that kind of pressure on this kid.
No.
But
I don't think it's tough comparing him to Cal. Welcome in, Disney Nerd Herders. I don't think it's tough to compare him to Cal in the fact of leadership and the face of an organization managing professionally, handing himself outside of the game the way it's done, which Cal did. Cal was a true leader on the team. All the time, Cal was a leader, and sometimes it was quiet and sometimes it was vocal, but I'm telling you, that cat was a leader all the time. And I saw it firsthand. I was down in the stadium from like 82 to 89. I was at the game. My dad worked there. I was at almost every home game and had the pleasure and luxury to get to see Cal firsthand and to watch him walk outside of the stadium and the way he engaged with fans and engaged with kids and did that type of stuff. And as a young athlete, you watch that and you say, wow, that's a great way to do. So, it is what it is. What's up, Baker? Welcome in. Thank you.
I definitely think he's the face of the team now. We have Gunner, and we have Grayson Rodriguez coming, and we have Anthony Santander, and we've got Austin Hayes, and we've got Cedric Mullins, but Adley Rutschman is the face of the Baltimore Orioles right now. He just is.
Well, and here's
He
the other thing.
is.
You may have Walt with where this franchise is going. When you talk about Hurstead and talk about Gunner, you talk about these other guys that could be coming behind. You could have it where the Orioles have it. I hate to say it, but let me go back to it. The days of the Yankees when you had Ruth, and not that they're going to be like these players, but you had people loved these players for different reasons. You had Gehrig, you had Ruth, you had Yogi, you had all these different, you had Whitey Ford. Players love these players for different reasons. We could have that where it's 5, 6, 7
Well,
players that are just loved.
well, this is you talk of the Yankees. I'll make the comparison. It reminds me of the '90s Yankees with Posada,
Oh,
Jeter, Bertie Williams, Paul O'Neill.
yeah,
That team is who this team reminds me of. Young players that you got from your farm system that have come in and done the job. That's what this team reminds me of. And we're not the Yankees. Don't get me wrong. Those guys won World Series after World Series. They are who they are.
right.
But there's comparisons that can be made there, legitimate comparisons. We haven't won anything. They won 3 or 4 championships. We haven't won diddly squat yet. But there's foundation there for some similarities, is what I'm getting at.
I agree. Before we close things up real quick, Walt, I just got to do a quick highlight. We are proud to be an affiliate. I actually got my sample here. It's not the Orioles, but it'll work. It's the Phillies. It's Preston's, one of Preston's. This is my sample
Love
that
it.
came in the mail today. Guys, I'm telling you, if you don't know stuff, so you definitely want to check that out on the over there on Dugout Mugs, and the link will be right there in the chat in just a moment. My picture just went out. How did my picture go
Yep.
out? There we go.
Uh,
There we go.
there he is.
Coming back in. So
Hey, I gotta tell you about Dugout Mugs. I saw them this weekend at the Lakeland Farmers Market. They had a booth there. I saw the Dugout Mugs firsthand. They were really nice, folks. Nice, well made product. Very nice.
no, I am not comparing him to the 27 Yankees. What's in those mugs? Nothing is in the mugs
Yeah.
right now. It's sitting right here. David T. Hello, good to see you. Preston's excited to get his hands on this Phillies one here, but I told him it's going to stay in the office for a little bit as a memento there. So it's good stuff as we're going through. No, I'm not drinking. So Walt, as we finish out today, tell everybody where they can find you and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. Well, you can find us over on YouTube, Mouse Talk. We also have Instagram and we have Facebook. Come check us out. We do a lot of streams from the parks. Um, we just have vlogs. We have a great time. Melissa's with me most of the time doing that stuff. Not a lot of sports stuff over there yet. Maybe down the road. That's why I'm really happy to be here with Pete Talk and Orioles stuff. So come check us out if you like Disney stuff and theme park stuff and some off Disney and theme park stuff as well is coming. So be sure to check us out. We'd appreciate it. We just went over 15,000, so we're really happy with that.
That's awesome.
Um,
Congratulations for that. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
we're,
And
we're just enjoying it.
if you're watching the replay and you've you want to counterpoint with Walt, you want to engage back and forth based on his topics, reach out. His Instagram will be right there. That's something I'm doing with all my sports shows now. The Instagram for that creator is right there. So if you want to throw a shot over to him about, hey, I agree with you or don't agree, you got a quick way to do it. Of course, all my socials are available. We're going to do this show on Monday nights. Our scheduled planned time will be 6 o'clock most of the time. There might be a couple weeks we go a little later in the night, just through the summer here, as Preston is doing his summer baseball schedule, and I'm trying to get to as many games as I can. So make sure you hit that subscribe, help us out, leave the like always. Orioles are doing well. I got 2 games coming up the next 2 days. I'm doing 2 games against Toronto. You'll see Walt from time to time come in on my lives and do some color with me as we do the games. You know that he's always more than welcome to do that. And maybe some others too. Maybe Jay Sanudo from our football show, who also loves some baseball and everything. You might see him come in and have some fun with us as well. Chris Dye, thank you for coming at the last minute. We appreciate you, buddy. Check out the replay. Want to thank everybody. It's been the Baltimore Birdbath, everybody. We'll see you next time on the stream. Walt, good night from 33rd, buddy. See you soon.
Ain't the beer cold?